What counts? Inspired out of Romans 14. Let us therefore make every effort to do what leads to peace and to mutual edification. My friend recounted how she'd pointedly been asked by a fellow, believer and colleague which political party she belonged to. This would be interesting. His aim in asking the question seemed to be to predict whether he agreed with her on any number of issues currently dividing their community. In an effort to find common ground between them, she simply replied, "Since we're both believers, I'd rather focus on our unity in Christ." Good answer. Well, let's go right through. People were also divided in Paul's day, though over different issues. Topics such as what foods were permissible to eat and what days were considered holy brought disagreement among the Christians in Rome. Despite being fully convinced in their own mind on whichever position they held, Paul reminds them of their common ground, living for Jesus. Instead of passing judgment on one another, he encouraged them to do what leads to peace and to mutual edification. In an era when many countries, churches, and communities are divided over issues large and small, we can point one another to the unifying truth of Christ's work on the cross to secure our life with him eternally. Paul's reminder that we ought to not destroy the work of God with our individual positions is as timely today as it was 2,000 years ago. Instead of passing judgment on one another, we can act in love and live in a way that honors our brothers and sisters. When did a difference of opinion cause division between you and another believer? If you resolved your differences, how did you do so? Jesus, thank you for saving me. Forgive me for the times I get distracted by lesser issues and allow division to occur between myself and other believers. Help me to bring unity through focusing on you. Gosh, I totally could have said that myself because I need to. I'm a very political person, and I fight not to be so. I did pretty good until Trump came along, and I had real low expectations of him because I figured he was the shoo-in for, he was going to make it for Hillary to get elected. I did a bunch of videos on that back in the day. And they kind of enjoyed him as a politician. But my opinion, and every Christian I'm sure that watches this, and most of the ones that I know will disagree with me. And I'll just come out and say it. As a believer, I'll just put it back to myself. As a believer, I have no place in politics. It's legal to vote, so I will vote what I think is the correct vote or whatever. But it has no place for me as a Christian in politics. I'm talking about just discussing the whole thing, because it's all for naught. It's especially, we know this more now than ever. I'm not saying that you shouldn't vote. I vote. But the battle, because there's a lot of people that I no longer have a relationship with, or that I will discuss things with, because I just no longer view them as worthy individuals because of their politics. Not good. Does not gel with what Jesus was teaching us. Okay? So I really can't say, there's a lot of Christians, many Christians are political, although they have a low voter turnout, which is mind-boggling. There is, when you look at, when you follow governments and policies and all their junk and all this stuff for so long, like I have, you realize we're just a pawn. I'm just a pawn in this thing, and I have very little power over any other than my single vote. You can make of that what you will. We've already ruined the election process, but I think anything to do with politics, you want to get into it or debate, or even if you're an activist of some sort for your politics, I think that has no place in the faith, because once again, we're trying to fix this thing that we know is broken. I just think of it as a complete waste of time. And I've done plenty of it. I'm not speaking from some holier than thou position. I've been in politics my whole adult life, all the way back to Clinton. and nothing good, nothing edifying me towards my faith, bringing me closer to Jesus, or walking better as far as the biblical understanding. I've got none of that from politics. It's only been a distraction that's taken me further away from where I should be. I'll put it that way. But at least you don't have to agree. But I think believers have no place in politics. It's legal to vote, so vote. Outside of that, I think it only brings us trouble. Amongst, we're supposed to walk a certain way around other people. And the big issue is not whether they vote your way, it's whether they're following the teachings of Jesus. Love you, God bless.